Hi there, I'm Robin Altman, here to bring you another Radiate Insight. And today I want to talk to you about the quality of your thinking. People who are stuck at a crossroads, at least many of the clients that I've worked with, are stuck because they're stuck in the way that they're thinking about their crossroads. They may be in a job that they've done for many years and had success, but it doesn't provide the same level of fulfillment or meaning for them anymore. Or they've outgrown their position and want more, but they don't know what that more looks like. For some, what was important to them before isn't as important to them now. Sometimes people are at a crossroads because they didn't get that promotion and they're wondering how they can get themselves to the next level in their career. Sometimes it's because they don't feel a connection to the people or the organization that they're working for, whether they had it before or never really did. And sometimes it's because they've had success and they built a great career for themselves, but they also have the golden handcuffs to go with it. You know, they have a good salary, they may have a steep mortgage, maybe they put their kids in private school or they're financed to the hilt, whatever the financial constraints are. Sometimes a person's had a great run doing some type of work for a long time, and now they feel pigeonholed. They want something else, but they think that everybody thinks of them in only one way. And sometimes due to health or an accident, there are those who are forced to give up their current career, and they can't see options right now. And all of these stuck thoughts are preventing people from connecting to the possibilities and the opportunities that could help them get unstuck. Does this sound familiar to you? A lot of times the central point of this stuckness is on the perceived limitations that you see in the outside world. When you focus on these perceptions, inevitably you end up telling yourself that there's no way out. It's just not possible. And then what happens? Well, the bedside alarm goes off in the morning. You open your eyes, you look up at the ceiling, having a hard time getting out of bed, and those thoughts are swimming around in your head. When and how is this going to end? And it's almost like a vicious loop, but there is hope. The first thing to do in this situation is consider not changing anything in the outside world, actually not taking any action just yet, but rather take a look at what's going on inside you. What are the lines of dialogue saying to you? And then change your thinking to a different perspective. Now, some people may challenge me on that and say, hey, fact is fact. This is the truth of my situation. This is what it is. And if I let go of that fact, I'm just being unrealistic. But actually, that's not true, because fact is only the tangible data that's in front of you. Everything else is an interpretation, and there's always more than one interpretation. To illustrate this, imagine a vase of fresh flowers, and you put this vase on a glass table. If you look at the vase of flowers from one direction, you will see one view of those flowers. But I'd like you to imagine yourself not only seeing that one view, I'd like you to circle around to the other side of the table and look at the flowers from the opposite direction, basically 180 degrees from the last view. Does it look exactly the same, or do you think there would be some nuances and differences? And now move a quarter or 45 degrees to your right. Does the view look exactly the same, or does it look different from that different perspective? And now go across to the other side, the opposite side. What does that perspective look like? Now, if you were to look at the vase from under the table, looking up from the underside of the vase, what do you see? And now let's say that you look from the ceiling downward. What do you see then? Well, guess what? You're looking at the very same vase with those very same flowers, but the perspective is different. And guess what? All of those perspectives are true. And by the way, that's only your observation with your eyes. What about all the other senses? What about how the flowers smell? What about how the flowers will look over time? What about your intuition or your gut? How do the flowers make you feel? I don't know about you, but if you've ever arranged flowers, you may remember positioning the flowers one at a time, even turning the vase so that you get the most attractive view of the flowers, looking at them straight on. And then when you look at them, you think, wow, these are such beautiful flowers. Now, how does this relate to stuckness? Well, there's an American thought leader named David Cooperrider who coined the term appreciative inquiry. And what that means is that we take the best of the past and the present to create the future. We choose an appreciative approach. When we choose the appreciative perspective that is going to move us forward in order to create our future, we choose to see successes. We choose to see our strengths. We choose to see our positive characteristics and leveraging them into our future. We're by no means denying the fact that something exists, just like the flowers in the vase on the table. But you're choosing what perspective you want to take to look at those flowers, to look at that situation. So as you think about your stuckness, I invite you to take some time to use appreciative inquiry before you make an impulsive decision, before taking any action. Challenge yourself on all those limitations that you see, or even better, ignore all of the negative lines of dialogue in your head. This is what we call the inner critic's voice. I'm actually going to post a link below to a webinar that I did about the inner critic if you'd like to understand more about yours. But one of the things you learn in that webinar is that unless there's something constructive about the inner critic, something that can really help you move forward from what it's saying, ignore those lines of dialogue and choose appreciative inquiry to think about your situation and especially to think about yourself. Shifting your perspective to a more appreciative one is the beginning of getting unstuck. Is it going to get you that job right now, today? Maybe not, unless you have a job interview coming or unless somebody calls you. But that's really not the point. The point is that it all begins from the inside and then it radiates out. If you're feeling stuck and feeling bad about yourself, you might as well put a blindfold on because for all intents and purposes, you can't see much in that state. Or whatever you do see will be negative or pessimistic. Ask yourself, what are the positive beliefs that I want to adopt that will help me move forward? What are the past successes that I can build on? What are the positive qualities that I have? And write those down and remind yourself of these and keep them in front of you as you're thinking through your stuckness. Everything around you will begin to look different when you use appreciative inquiry. And then guess what? You'll start to feel differently. You'll begin to see yourself differently. And in turn, people will begin to see you differently. And that's when you'll begin moving forward with momentum. And that's when you'll begin to think things through in a more adaptive way to get the clarity you need about your situation and to attract the people and opportunities that you really want for yourself. Use appreciative inquiry. Connect to the amazing, intelligent, talented person that you are at your core, and then you're ready to move along your path in your next chapter. So what do you think? What's the quality of your thinking? Do you have any tricks to have your thinking working well for you? I'd love to hear, and I invite you to share either here below or send me an email at robin@radiatecoaching.com. If you like this video, I'd love you to join our Radiate community for more blogs and shares, either by sending an email to robin@radiatecoaching.com or subscribing at www.radiatepassionandpurpose.com. Feel free to share this video with any friend, colleague, or other connection who you think might benefit. And in the meantime, like I always say, Get connected to who you are when you're at your best, and you will radiate from the inside out. I look forward to seeing you again, and bye for now.